Hopefully better this time. Hello.
Hello. That's a bit better, I think.
Is it better this time?
Still not great, but let's just go
Hopefully
for it
that's better.
anyway.
I don't know what's doing that at all.
It must be, it's because you're in Scotland and I'm in England. There, it's like the historical animosity between
I know.
countries. Although I never really got that. I never like lots of my family is Scottish from way back, so it's not like, I have nothing against Scotland. I just always figure that people in Scotland hate English people. Not you, but you hear it, don't you?
I know it's you hear it in Scotland and hating and all that. It's a kind of it's a Scottish rivalry. It's the same with the films like that as well. It's always been like that.
So today, so far today, I've had to rescue a bird that my cat was trying to murder, and now we had to put it in our recycling
Right?
box in the garage with a bit of wood over the top. So I've put it in a box with like a little dish of water and some bread, and so it couldn't fly, so we had to like go and get it in the garden. We were crawling down behind bushes to try and get this bird. It doesn't seem that badly hurt, so when I went and looked at it just now, it's like flapping around. So I think I'll probably just leave it in the dark for a bit till tonight, and then try and take it outside and put it somewhere safe. But it's just endless killing going on in my
I
garden.
know. My cat's actually went missing. My wife's been in the night long. It got attacked by a dog yesterday. It jumped into the next door's garden, the back fields, and she disappeared all night. We've been out looking for her and everything, and no sign of her.
Does she usually stay in your garden then?
So she goes in the garden. She never goes any further than here, but she went out yesterday to the front, and this pit bull came along and actually attacked her, grabbed her by the paw and threw her across the road. And so I don't know what's happened. If she's maybe she was bleeding to run away. We found her at that point. And now she's been away all night. There's still no sign of her.
Maybe she'll come back once she feels like it might be safe again. She might just be hiding, and then like when
My wife's
she's less scared. Oh, I hope she
absolutely.
comes back.
She's like 16 years old, so
There was
I don't know.
someone knocked on the door a couple of weeks ago, and there's like a professional pet finding agency around here. So if you lose an animal, you can pay
Right.
them to go around handing out flyers and going and looking in sheds and stuff. A little really cute little tortoiseshell boy called I've forgotten what his name was, but I've seen posters up literally all over where I live. It makes me so sad because I can't really imagine what we'd do if
Well,
we lost the.
it looks like I don't know if you can see that. That's her.
Oh, very cute.
So I
Tortoiseshells
don't
are
know.
funny. They've got like a
I don't.
really unique character, don't they?
She's like that. She can times want pet it, and other times you go towards her and she doesn't know to do with you. She's a bit like that.
I think they call it torty, don't they?
Mm, she's like more of a female. She like goes towards females. See me, she comes to me sometimes, but she's more kind of female person for some reason. I don't know why that's what she's like.
She rescued.
Aye, yes, she is. Aye, we got her for the cat adoption a way back in 2002, just when me and my wife actually got together.
Wow. So she probably had some, I don't know, maybe she had something, she was mistreated by a man in the past or something.
Well, what actually happened was she was a litter of 10 kittens, and what actually happened was somebody tied them in a basin and dumped them in the burn. And this person was walking their dog along and actually found them, and she was only one of three that survived. And the woman at the cat adoption, she was basically looking after her and things like that, so we got her off her.
Oh, I just don't understand how people can be that cruel to animals. Makes me feel so angry. Well, obviously
Oh,
that's why we're vegan, but oh, I don't know. I've just bought a tracker for our cat to wear on his collar.
right.
It was quite cheap actually. It was half price. It was 50 quid. And it comes with an app. So you put it on a collar and then you can track wherever he goes. Um, so at least that either it will give me peace of mind knowing if he gets lost or something, or I'll spend my whole time looking at the app and thinking, oh my God, he's too close to the main road. Because we do have lots of main roads, because where I live is like little estates with a kind of network
Exactly.
of big roads. But I feel
I
bad,
mean,
like,
so how do you kind of feed you? Do you feed it like just no cat food and things like that?
yeah, he has normal cat food because I kind of think, because he's a rescue, I can't really justify trying to give him a diet that I don't think would be good for him. But I'd never buy a cat from a breeder. But it's
No,
difficult. Like there is no solution, is there really? How can you can't because there is they do go out and murder animals, so
exactly.
it's natural for them to eat
That's what
meat.
I
It's
said
like
to
that what
somebody.
they were doing.
That's what I said to somebody last week. They said to me, "Oh, you can't really be vegan when you're justifying animals dying for your animals to thrive." But I said to them, "Wait a minute. Cats obviously need things like taurine, but at the end of the day, even if you were to feed your cat a vegan diet, it's going to go out and it's going to hunt birds and mice and such likes anyway. I mean, it's just that's their nature."
There is no solution to this because even if, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, cat food helps to fuel factory farming, and that's not ideal. But
No,
if you don't have access to animals you can go and kill for that reason, that outside of factory farming, there's no, I don't know of any ethical pet food that do meat. Like I don't think that exists. So we are in a bit of a situation where you can say, well, either we justify allowing our own pets to starve to death. There isn't really a solution. It's just one of those things that's going to suck until we make the transition, like generally in everyone on the planet makes the transition to being not factory farming and people start eating less meat. Then
exactly.
well, hopefully, I mean, as miserable as it sounds for us because we're pet lovers, they'll end up being less pets because there just won't be anything to feed them anyway. So it will just be a question of it's just a transition and there's nothing we can do about it in the moment. So it's like, and like veganism's about doing as much as you possibly can for the cause. You can never be perfect. You can't cover all bases. So it's really unrealistic. And it's not a
It's
black and white
practical
picture.
impossible.
Exactly. We'd all have to move out of our houses and live in tents. And even then, like if you wanted to go drill right down into it, you could say, well, every time you're stepping on the ground, you're probably killing tiny little creatures. Like we use cleaning products that would probably kill spiders and stuff. So it's, yeah, we can't really be perfect. We've just got to do the
No,
best we can.
that's exactly it. I mean, especially my vet actually told me about things like my dogs and that. My dogs have got congenital kidney disease brought on by their mother. So, like he said, it's virtually impossible that I could ever feed my dogs in a vegan
Yeah.
diet because they need a lot more because so that's one I've got to look for. And the way I look at pets is we know that, but they should be just as equal to us. But as having pets, it's about doing what's best for them, and that's what it's all about. And whether that be non-vegan, that's exactly it.
Yeah, it's difficult. I do kind of think so I've got a lot of friends that do horse riding and I've been horse riding in the past and I love hanging out with animals, but I know that there are things that are just not as much as I love doing them and not ethical. And I do get that having pets is not like perfect in an ethical sense, but we are in a situation where there are lots of pets hanging around that do need homes. So you kind of have to just say, well, look, currently I can make the decision to rescue this animal and take care of it as best I can, and that's
Exactly.
me doing my little bit for this corner of the planet. Or you can just say, well, I don't care about all those cats sort of starving to death and being put to sleep. So I don't know, making choices like that is never easy, but there is no one size fits all solution for any of it.
And I even seen some vegans that, and this is a typical example, they say that they love animals and they actually they feed their cats vegan, yet they done a thing where they actually called out the cat protection to actually exterminate these stray cats that were in the community. So I'm saying, look, you feed your cat vegan, but you'll happily get other cats out there killed because they're strays. I mean, so that's a bit contradictory.
No, it doesn't make any sense.
That's like prioritising one because you've got the connection to that animal. You love that animal, but you've not got the connection to stray cats, so you can justify killing them. That's basically what it's saying.
Yeah, no, it doesn't make any sense, does it really?
Absolutely not.
Oh, hang on, I was trying to see if I could record us, but everything's broken today.
I'm exactly the same. It always seems to happen. I'm just getting kind of used to things because I've just moved house and things.
Yeah, how's it going? That house looks a lot like it looks like it's painted a lot whiter than the other house was.
Yeah, I painted my bedroom absolutely white, so it was kind of brighter for when I was doing videos, because I found like the kind of blue, the dark blue, and that was murder. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
But it's actually good weather here at the moment. It was absolutely pouring down yesterday, but the sun's actually out today and things like that, so that's a change.
I think, oh God, sorry, I'm just struggling with this, trying to close this application down. I think it rained overnight and it's still really cloudy outside, but it's warm enough, and we're supposed to be my husband's meant to be playing football over by a lake which has like a massive playground next to it. So I think after I get off here, we're going to go for a quick walk with my son before, and I don't know if we will bother going to the playground there because it's going to be super busy. It's like one of those places that is just crawling with people every weekend, and it's for an hour and a half. I think that's a little bit long to be hanging out in a playground, and we can't really watch him play football because he doesn't want us to. So I think we'll probably just go for a quick walk after I finish talking to you, and then now I've got to do boring Sunday stuff like cleaning the house.
I know. I was going to say as well, I caught the tail end of it and something about the NHS files getting hacked or something online, and
yeah,
exactly what that was all about.
I don't know what happened, but it affected, and it wasn't just the NHS, it was lots of stuff in Russia as well, I think, was affected. So it was just some big kind of cyber attack that affected loads of stuff, and I don't know, I haven't really watched the news since, so I don't know if they found out what it was about, but it did expose the fact that the NHS, the whole infrastructure is just completely outdated and needs updating. They're still running everything on Windows XP. What year was that? Like 2007 or something?
Exactly.
It's dodgy when you think that could be like, it's probably life or death for some people.
Exactly. That's exactly it. I mean, you don't know what they're getting. Somebody said to you this morning that they're talking about World War III, but like he said, World War III is going to be cyber war, because that's basically what it is, because
Yeah, it's a really big deal. Like cybersecurity is one of the most up and coming kind of industry skills to have. I was thinking about like maybe trying to get doing some training or some study around it, just because it is going to be the next. I mean, I think it's not going to be World War III in the same way that we're envisioning it, but if you can hack into infrastructure, it does cause. You could like maybe paralyze the military or something if you had the power as a hacker to kind of infiltrate systems like that. So it's possible that they could take out defenses of a country in order to do an attack, but I think it would still involve like some kind of military action as well. But it is a bit scary when you think, because the internet and stuff's happened in a relatively short time, we just haven't caught up with ourselves yet. Just like the whole social issues of people, like we haven't got used to the idea that putting all of our personal information online is a bad idea. and people just assume that because it's virtual that it doesn't really exist. So we're trying to get used to the social angle of it, but then also like the practicalities of it. It's just happened so quickly. It's not been possible for people to put stuff in place to make sure that it all works properly.
I know. I was going to say to you as well, how did the kind of mental health awareness week go?
Yeah, it was good.
I liked my
your
talk.
session was really awesome, obviously. And then yeah, no, I was listening into your session, and then right, for you guys in the chat, so I won't tell you where I work, but Tommy came and did a session for me, a speaker session, because obviously like lots of other workplaces, we had a week of events for Mental Health Awareness Week. And it was good because there is a real big appetite for it now. We've been doing stuff for several years where I work, and so every year it's more popular. And that session was really good. Then I did another session later in the week, which was like a mental health first aid session. So what to do in a crisis, kind of things that you should and shouldn't do if, you know, if someone's harmed themselves or if someone's having suicidal ideation, that kind of thing. So the real tough things that you don't often hear talked about in a work situation. And 62 people dialed in for that, so that was very popular. And then next week I'm on a big panel it's like an LGBTQ panel with the CEO of Stonewall to talk about how mental health affects you know, gay and lesbian people and the LGBTQ crowd in particular. So that should be interesting. So yeah, it was good. It was just a lot of work. There was a lot of stuff going on in the background, and mostly the most difficult bit is trying to get the communication side sorted out. So like, if you've got a week of events planned, you've got to figure out how you tell. Because the company I work for, we've got about 140,000 people working there, and it's just me doing most of the mental health stuff. So I have to try and get everything, and I'm not a particularly organised person in terms of like planning ahead, so I'm really super on it. How about you? How did all your stuff go?
Yeah, it went great. Like I say, I had the Daily Record, I had the Daily Mirror, I was on BBC Radio, I've done obviously the Telegraph, but they're actually saying that there's like 27% rise in men with eating disorders, and they actually reckon that it's like 180,000 out there that's actually got it, that's probably suffering in silence. Like 25% they're saying. I mean, it says it on that bit there, it's saying about the 27% rise. It's hard shocking.
Yeah, and you know what?
There was quite a few guys actually. There was quite a few guys actually came forward in that thing, actually talking about their story as well. That was a personal trainer, and he's a mental health nurse as well. So it's great to see that there were actually kind of more people actually speaking about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I thought your thing on the BBC site looked really good. I like the way that they'd done the stories. They'd made it really relatable. So it wasn't just focused on one area. It kind of showed how something so small as something that your mum gave you gives you so much comfort, and how important that can be. And I think exactly. in a way that helps highlight the fact that often it's just something really simple and small that you can do for someone, or that they need as like an adjustment that can make a lot of difference. So it's not about, you don't always have to bend over backwards for people. It's not always all terrible. Sometimes it's just like small things that you can change that mean that someone else can live their life in a more satisfying and successful way.
Yeah, exactly. Totally. I'm actually thinking of kind of looking into doing like a kind of course on eating disorders and things like that to be kind of get more kind of qualified on it. Even though I'm probably as qualified as anybody because I suffer with it, but I would like to do something to obviously kind of a wee bit more kind of qualified on it. I'm thinking about that.
Well, you could do something that's in a slightly different area that involves the same skills, but wouldn't necessarily, because I think ethically you probably wouldn't be allowed to like do anything that would involve, compromising your own recovery. Personally, I don't know how valid that is, because I think sometimes your recovery can be helped by needing to set an example for other people. but I understand why they put those rules in place. So I think maybe there'll be other places that you can like use those skills. If you look, Open University do a load of free courses online. I've started doing a few of them, and there's some that are about psychology stuff, so that might be a good place to start for free. And then obviously they've got like links to other places, so you might be able to look on there.
If you ever find any links, if you can send me them, that'd be great, and can I check them up?
Yeah, definitely. It's a bit quiet here today, isn't it? No one's saying anything in the chat at all.
I know, yeah, it's dead quiet for a change for some reason. I don't know what it is, but it's maybe because it's kind of decent weather. That's what it's like. See, in the summertime, you find it in the winter, it's absolutely chock-a-block with people, and then summer, there's no so many. Now, there's Nat saying something. I was going to say, I got this new book. I'm going to get reading. I don't know if you've seen that.
Oh yeah,
I've got into that. I just got that yesterday, so I'm going to try and kind of get a look through that. And I got this new journal as well. But I'm going to start kind of journaling a bit. Looks absolutely great. Let's see, I kind of love that one, so I'm going to start kind of doing a bit of journaling and things, because it's something that my eating disorder recovery team actually told me that I should probably start doing, and I've never really done it in the past. But I think it's probably something that I should start doing to kind of look back on if I'm getting a kind of bad day, that I can actually say, oh, that helped me on such and such a day.
And also, like, you can see patterns then. So if you notice that your mood, sometimes it's cyclical, sometimes your mood will react to something else that's like happened externally. If you can like find those triggers, and sometimes you can get rid of them or like minimize the effect they have. And also I find that like for some things that I've not been able to actually verbalize because they're difficult to talk about or whatever, or they're quite hard to articulate to someone else, if you write it down, even if like I used to write letters to people that I never planned to send, you just write the letter, it's done, you chuck it away or you burn it or whatever, and it somehow allows you to like process that a little bit easier. So I reckon that would be useful.
Yeah, that's a kind of, I don't know if that's the same as kind of that externalising your eating disorder type thing. That's what they talk about, isn't it? It's basically kind of that's kind of narrative therapy type thing. Things like you can obviously get.
Like, I think that's what self-harm in itself is about. It's like externalizing mental pain, emotional pain, and then it's easier to care for it when it's like on the outside of you. It's like much easier to dress a wound or I don't know, care for a burn or something than it is to, you know, address your emotional pain. So although you know, like eating disorders can be self-harming behaviours, sometimes they're just about control, and therefore like if you can externalize them, they're similar. So yeah, I reckon that'll be a good plan.
It's looking at it. It's like looking at it like it's affecting you rather than something that's up to you type thing. That's what I actually talk about with externalizing the things.
Separating it from you, because it's not you, and you don't need, your whole life doesn't have to be about that. I think that's what Lauren Kenzie's been trying to do currently, but I think like it's all right to acknowledge the fact that you have an eating disorder, but then to externalize it and to move on from it. So I think it's like a balance between the two, really.
I'm not kind of sure about what she means by that, because she says she's not got an eating disorder anymore. But that's kind of, I'm saying, well, that.
I think I understand what she means. I think what she means is that if she doesn't talk about it and if she doesn't acknowledge it, then she can just move on from it. But I think, I mean, if that works for her, then I hope it does, because everyone deserves to recover. But I think you do get to a stage in life where, and sometimes it's not about how long you've had it, it's just about your age. Like for us, we're the same age and we've been through a certain amount of stuff in life, and you realise that even if you go through periods of being really well for years and years and years, if that's your kind of go-to coping mechanism, you can't really ever say, you know, can never say never. So to say that you're recovered is almost to put yourself on an impossible pedestal. Then if you fall off it, then it's 1,000 times worse. So keeping it in the back of your mind that you're always being careful and proactive about maintaining your well-being, I think is probably, it does become a better way to go in the end.
Well, exactly, because I was like what you could call recovered for 6 years, and then I always had these disorder thoughts in myself. I was eating properly, everything like that, and then obviously I relapsed 6 down the line. So like, say 6 years, I still relapse. So it's I always say it's something that's always going to be there, and I've just got to keep in control of it. Like I spoke about in that talk, basically it's the same as being an alcoholic or a drug addict, but you face your fears every single day. Food that keeps you alive, and that's what it is. And it's something.
You have to know your.
The biggest problem I've got at the moment is yeah.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Sorry, I was saying the biggest is the exercise. That's what I'm trying to do is limit my exercise, but it's something that I'm going to have to keep doing, because I feel if I wasn't to exercise at all, I probably would relapse fully. But what I'm trying to do is make sure I'm in a calorie, I'm eating way over above any exercise I do, because I know only too well myself, I would rather exercise than relapse, and I think that's something that's always going to be with me.
I disagree that exercise should be. I mean, obviously, when you're really, really sick, yeah, of course, you shouldn't be exercising. But I think they need to spend more time looking into how exercise can be used as part of recovery, because the body is going to be healthier when it's being active, and it helps improve your mood as well. So I think cutting exercise out and trying to stop people from doing it, that could, if exercise is one of the ways that you manage your emotions, then obviously it would be better to have that as part of your armory than to just get rid of it altogether. I know exactly what you mean. I feel if I don't, I mean, I'm only walking really at the moment, walking and riding my bike a bit, so I'm not doing a massive amount, but if I don't go and do that, I feel sluggish, and I feel like, my mood drops very quickly. And then I do start to feel guilt when I am eating. So I feel like I need to have exercise in order to feel okay about eating. And like that's kind of normal in a way, because in my last recovery phase, I ended up just lying around doing nothing, eating loads of ice cream, and I actually then put on far too much weight far too quickly, and it's kind of triggered almost another relapse again. So it's something that is a delicate balance. And like one of the things that put me off going into inpatient treatment voluntarily last time was that they said you wouldn't be allowed outside for the first 2 months that you're here, and then you wouldn't be allowed to exercise for the next 4 months, and then after that you'd only be able to exercise exactly how we told you to. So I was a bit like, well, I can't live cooped up inside a building. It's just it's not beneficial at all for me.
I was exactly the same what you're saying there. When I went my last traps when my dad died, basically when I was in there, I was like, wasn't allowed outside for like 3 months it was, and going to the toilet. It's like, so they were wheelchairing me to the toilet. They had me sitting in a seat inside the shower. They would be standing in there. Even things like I wasn't allowed to like stand up. So see if I was having my meal and I got up to stand, like to take over my tray or things like that, they said I was burning calories by standing, so I wasn't allowed to stand either. And it got to the point that when they started to take away the 24-hour supervision, like they would start like letting me have like a few hours a day where I wasn't watched by them, because I had a seat outside the room watching me. I would go into the toilet and I would start doing press-ups and running in the spot and all kinds of things, and that basically caused me to relapse when I actually got out, because I had that in my mind that it was basically like, fuck this, I'm going to lose this weight when I get out, and that's what I did.
Yeah, that's the thing. I'm trying to read Nearer 8, something we need to work on physically and mentally though as well. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's the thing. Your body isn't either mental or physical. You're one whole thing, and it's like all of that together is what makes the body. So your health has to be both mental and physical. And if your body, like your muscles waste if you don't use them. So once you get above a point where you're not critical, I think it's important that you maintain movement and stuff so that you don't end up with joint problems. And the thing is, if they were to work with specialists that could help you with a physical recovery, instead of just teams of psychiatrists and psych nurses, then you probably would be able to incorporate that. But because of the lack of resources that we have, and the fact that there aren't holistic teams set up that cover all of those angles, and with things like digestion, I mean, Lauren's issue with digestion, I bet she's not with a gastroenterologist specialist consultant to take care of that side of things. They don't have the resource.
I've got really bad digestion as well, but that was caused a lot through my laxative abuse, because I'm going to make a video on this. I was taking like 100 laxatives a day. I mean, that's how bad it was, and it got to the point I was actually wearing adult nappies because I was going out and things like that, and it was just coming away from me. I actually ended up having a prolapse bowel, and I actually had to have surgery. Like, I've got metal staples in my bowel at the moment, and even when I go to the toilet, as graphic as this sounds, my bowel actually literally comes out my back passage each time, and I've got constant diarrhea every single day. But even I can put on weight, so I say to myself, we probably make excuses for it as well. We say, oh, I can't gain weight because I've got stomach issues, but if you're really putting in the amount of calories and things like that, no matter how bad your digestion is, you will gain weight. And I've said that in the past as well.
I don't know. I mean, I think because I had a friend with Crohn's disease, we were in a band together. He was the drummer, and he was eating, but because he had a blockage in his bowel, the food was going like halfway down, getting stuck, and then coming back out again. So can you imagine? That is disgusting, because it's like half digested food that's coming back again. And he lost so much weight, despite the fact that he was trying to eat. And it's a bit like, when you say about bulimia, that you tend not to lose weight because even if you're bringing the food up, your body's still managing to get something out of it. I don't know how that works physically, but it does. But there are circumstances where your gut is just not able to process the nutrients, and everyone's gut's different. But if you don't have a recovery team that's set up to help you with those issues and to investigate and to treat that however best they can, then there's no point in saying to someone, well, you can't gain weight. Like, you struggle to gain weight. I don't, because I haven't, although I've abused laxatives in the past, not to that extreme, and I've always been very conscious of not wanting to screw things up forever, so I was quite fearful of doing that. I probably caused myself more damage taking painkillers on a very, very long-term basis. But I've never been able to see someone for my digestive issues properly, and when they were monitoring my weight, they just didn't really seem to take that very seriously, which I thought was weird, because I know there are many different circumstances where people can't get the nutrients they need from their food, and if that is not addressed, then there's no point in punishing someone for the fact they can't put on weight. So I think it is something that needs to be, you do need to look at the person as a whole. Unfortunately, the people that are saying that they're doing that are functional medicine practitioners who are sort of quacks, really. They base everything on. I was told that if I wanted to cure my digestion, I had to drink bone broth every day.
Well, I actually spoke to a nutritionist, and she actually said to me that she recommends being vegan in eating disorder recovery because it's supposedly better for your digestion. I went, I'm not too sure about that, Ian, but you know what I mean? That's really, really dangerous, you know what I mean, for them to say things like that, because you find that people will obviously, especially with the volume content and things like that, I don't see why being vegan's probably better for your digestion, considering the amount of fibre and things and that involved in it, with fruits, vegetables and such like. But that's just crazy, like, because what works for you doesn't work for me, vice versa. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But then again, like meat, the fibres of meat, the guts aren't really set up to deal with that. So you end up burning off more calories trying to digest meat than you would digesting the easier fibres and the grains and stuff. So I think, again, it's like you say, no one person is the same as the next person. But I don't think you can blanket say that being vegan in recovery is a bad thing, and I don't think you can say it's the ideal thing either. I think it's just whatever thing works for that person, and everyone's microbiome is different, everyone's gut bacteria is different. That's why if you put someone else's this is too much information, but if you put someone else's poo into your digestive system, then you're effectively transplanting the bacteria, and if you're someone who's been naturally skinny, you might end up being then obese for no particular reason, even if you don't overeat, because their gut bacteria is not meant to be in your bowel. So it's a really delicate system, and if you're putting loads of, like you with the laxative abuse, your muscles will have not had to work, so they've just wasted away. So that's why now you probably need to have the laxatives in order for your gut to function at all, or it's just completely lost the ability to hold in the food that you've got in there. So it's like...
That's exactly what I was going to talk about. I'm actually prescribed laxatives from the doctor. I take like Senna and lactulose and things like that daily, because I need, at the same time, if I run out of them, this is what I know, that there's still something in my head with eating disorder. Like last week there, I run out of my laxatives that I get for the doctors, and I was getting really, really worked up. I was losing the place with Lauren. I need these laxatives, and I think to myself that basically that's the eating disorder in the head saying to me that I need to keep feeling as if I'm losing calories some way. And I know that's stupid, because you don't lose calories with laxatives. That's an absolute fact of that. But I think to myself, that's still part of the eating disorder there.
Yeah, and like being constipated makes you feel heavy and horrible. So I get that completely. I take aloe vera tablets. I take probably 3 times the dose that you're supposed to of the Holland and Barrett ones, and they work really well. Actually, I've never taken any laxatives that have worked that well, apart from what's that bisacodil stuff that literally almost killed me. That stuff is evil, and I think people react differently, but Senna does nothing for me, and neither does lactulose. But the aloe vera ones are really good because you don't get all the cramping and stuff. And yeah, I have to take a few more, and I take them every day because I'm also on cocodamol for pain. So that means that's like a constipation, that gives you constipation, and I can really tell if I don't take the aloe vera, then everything kind of grinds to a halt. But it's like just having to rely on those things. It does make you anxious when you don't have them, because that's your balance, that's what you rely on. It becomes about rituals and things that you need to have as like a crutch or a coping mechanism, and whether that's the food or if it's the tablets or what, it's just something that you come to rely on.
Exactly. And the thing is, with these laxatives, what a lot of people don't understand is they think they're losing calories, but actually by the time that laxatives actually, when your large intestine, most of it actually been absorbed by your small intestines. It's only fluid that you're losing, and
then you gain the fluid back because your body's trying to rebalance. So you end up stuck in this cycle where you're massively dehydrated, so your body starts retaining loads more water. I also think that's what happened to me in my last recovery, was that I just was doing loads of weight training, so my muscles were holding on to loads of water. I really upped my protein, so my kidneys were a bit like unhappy about that as well, and just generally ended up kind of walking around with carrying all this extra water. And it's a horrible feeling if you're someone that's not very good at dealing with the idea of feeling heavy anyway.
Yeah, I'm getting that at the moment. I'm quite bloated even today, but I find that what I've started doing is not looking in mirrors and things like that, but see when I'm really bloated and I get into the shower and things, that's I hate it, because when I'm washing myself and I feel that, I get this constant kind of thing in my head like I'm fat and such like. And what really happened to me the other day was, this is a prime example of how stupid doctors are. I've not actually seen this doctor for a few years because he was my doctor when I actually stayed in Beeve, but I've moved back there because we've moved house. I went and seen him the other day and he says to me, "Oh Tommy, you're looking absolutely great." He says, "It's great to see the fat round your hips and the fat in your cheeks." I was just like, that doesn't bother me, but because I'm not triggered by they kind of things. But like I said, that's absolutely shitty for a doctor to say that, because most people with eating disorders would actually have been, you know what I mean? You can just imagine it.
Yeah, I suppose like you, unfortunately, training to become a doctor doesn't like stop you from putting your foot in your mouth, and often like because there's so much to learn. I guess they are concentrating sheerly on the medical side and not not what's the bedside manner. So you
Exactly.
do get doctors who are there's the occasional odd one who is brilliant at both, and you really notice them. And there are others you just think, how have you got through this? You know, like my last psychiatrist, the one before last, who just seemed to have no understanding of my experience as a patient and was hell bent on the idea that I must take this medication that he really liked to use on people. And if it didn't work, then it was obviously my fault. And I just thought, okay, I am aware that sometimes I will misinterpret and I might be putting my own interpretation of what he meant, but some of the stuff that he said was just like he was leading me the entire time. So everything that he'd written in his notes was his assumptions that he'd basically tried to get me to say and agree to. It wasn't him asking me, it was like him putting his own stuff on it because it's easier to manage if it's something that you understand. Yeah.
Red and Ira is saying, what with the best of professionals don't know the men's side of this. That's
Yeah.
focused on weight, not the person. Exactly. That's what I was going to touch upon. My, especially my eating disorder recovery team, they don't have any issues that I go on with. They just focus on my. They're even telling me now it was 70 kilograms. I'm now gained 3 kilos in the last 4 weeks, which is amazing. I went for like 50 kilograms up to 50.5 now. So I've got another like 16 to get to the 70. But now they're saying to me, they've changed the goalpost. They're now saying that I've got to gain 1.5 kilograms every month. And they're wanting me to get to 80 kilograms to overshoot that 70, because they said that if I got to 70, I would probably start being lackadaisical and just start doing things normally and lose weight. So they want me to overshoot by 10 kilograms to give myself that kind of leeway in case I start to lose any weight, that I've got that extra to fight. Which,
Yeah,
I don't think that's a good idea.
no, and I think that, like as much as they can calculate what a set weight should be, it's not going to be exactly to their calculation. So I remember when they gave me my target weight, it was massively more than I'd ever weighed in my life at that point, because I'm naturally just a small person. Um, like I've got a very small head and like quite a small frame. So for me, despite the fact that
I've
my
got a big one.
guess that my BMI should be at a certain point, it just wouldn't have been right for me, and it would have been constantly triggering. So yeah, it wasn't tailored to me as a person, because they want to make sure they're covering themselves. They want to make sure that they're not there's no risk of them having not made you put on enough weight. I think that's what it is. And after so many years, you
Well,
get wise to it, and you know that that's what they're doing. But it's difficult, I suppose, for them to. They can't really make an exception because they've got procedure and stuff that they're supposed to follow. And if they don't do that, then they could get sued or whatever. So it's just difficult. That I mean, hopefully, eventually, once this becomes more of a thing, that there is more research and more money going into this area of medicine, hopefully things will start to balance out, and people who become specialists will investigate like multidisciplinary treatment, and more based around the person. It's just not at
yeah,
that stage yet because it's still seen as quite niche. I'm going to have to
but
go, I think.
yeah, that's great. I hope you have a lovely day.
I will. I'm sorry I can't talk longer. I can hear crashing in the background, and I think it's time to get
He's
outside.
desperate to go.
But it's great to speak to you, and let's arrange another chat this week. I'm around a bit more. It's
Definitely.
a little bit calmer this week, so it should be easier.
Me
And
as
yeah,
well.
see you guys in the chat. Have a great day,
See you
everybody.
soon. Have a lovely day. Speak. Absolutely great. She's absolutely amazing. She's got such knowledge. You know what I mean? she knows all the kind of health side of everything. Like I say, she should be a professional. I would take her as my psychiatrist, definitely. So is it the guest queue? I'll guest Alex. I've got another 15 minutes. So if Alex is still out. See if Alex is here. Invite declined. Nobody about, obviously. Try to see if I can guest Alex. I don't know if she's still here. Inviting guest. Declined. Nice to see you here, Red and Aya. I'll speak to you soon. I hope you have a lovely day. I'll just end my stream and I'll try and get Alex to go live and I'll go along with her. I'll speak to you all soon. Remember, as always, binge on life, purge negativity and starve guilty feelings. Alex, I'll jump onto your stream. If you go live, I'll go on yours. Great.